This week on the Reseller Locker Room, the coach is back here with us. We're going to talk about how to take your itsy bitsy teeny weeny eBay business or reselling business in general to the highest level that you could even imagine or can imagine. We're going to sit down with Max. Round two. Here we go.
Flip or die. The Resellers Locker Room podcast. The Resellers of entertainment and zero instruction. Out on the road hitting thrift store gold. Three wild men with stories untold. Beard Kings growling, Rocky Tops wild. CJ's laughing like a metalhead child. Sipping brews in a cheap motel. Talking deals and tales we never sell. This ain't no class, it's a backstage pass to the resale game with some serious sass. Flip or die. We're living fast in the reseller sky.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Reseller Locker Room, episode 9. And if you joined us on last week's live, we appreciate everybody coming in to wish our good friend and ambassador to the locker room, Mike Metco's birthday bash. But right now, we're going to sit down with Max from Common Ground Finds, the Paper Gold podcast. And then joining me as always, Beard King picker Alex Jefferson, CJ Benz Finds. I'm Rocky Top picker. Welcome back, Coach Max.
Ooh, when you say coach, I get post-traumatic stress disorder on that. That's 18 years of high school coaching basketball, and although it was the greatest of memories, it was so much work. It was just so much work. But that is going to lend itself to what we're talking about today, because I know we want to talk about scaling up. Mm-hmm. And as a high school basketball coach, I had taken over 2 programs, both of which were the bottom of the barrel, and rose them up to top of the state. And what I learned in that process of doing 2 schools like that is it's harder to stay on top. It's more work to stay on top than it is to be in the middle of the bunch. And it was a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of hours, just not on myself, my players, and also my assistant coaches at the time. But that's going to lend itself to what we're talking about today.
Right. Well, Max, we want to start things off. In case there's some viewers, you were on our show months and months ago. I can't remember exactly how long it's been. It's been too long, so we're glad to have you back. But just a brief synopsis of your background, how you got started in reselling and where you're at now with it, and then we'll get into the meat of the program.
Yeah, I was in the book business without ever thinking I was ever going to be in the book business. I was working at an antiquarian bookstore, a 3-story bookstore down here in Fort Lauderdale, 100,000 books. This was in the 90s. There was no eBay. There was no Amazon. I mean, everything was Microsoft Word document and old booklets and catalogs. That's how the business was run. And because I was putting my hands on hundreds of books every day and thousands of books a week and shelving them and listening to customers talk about what they wanted, what they were looking for, over the course of 2, 3, 5 years, a decade, I garnered a doctorate in book selling without thinking I was ever going to use it. I was a literature major in college, and therefore, I was akin to working in a bookstore. But years later, when life threw me a couple curveballs, is when I started thinking about using all of that book knowledge. Now there was an eBay, now there was an Amazon, and my girlfriend at the time no longer had said to me, why don't you sell some of these books that you keep buying and collecting? And I would just go to thrift stores, no reselling thought in my life. I would just go to bookstores knowing I knew what great books were. I knew what a valuable book was just by looking at the spine. And I would go to thrift stores and buy books for $4 or $1 for a book. And I wouldn't do anything with them. It would just, I got a $100 book. I got a $50 book. I got a $300 book I bought for $1. Eventually, I made it to eBay and sold 3 books within 24 hours. And the first time, as you know, gentlemen, the first time you hear that ka-ching, we all know it. it oftentimes is life changing. A tremor goes into your soul. And I knew when I first heard that ka-ching, and it was a J.D. Salinger book. It was called The Kit Book for Soldiers. I remember the book well. And I knew something had changed. I didn't know what had changed, but I knew my life had changed. And now 6, 7, 8 years later, here I am with the three of you gentlemen talking about books as a full-time bookseller, as a retired teacher and basketball coach of 18 years, now making more money, honestly and transparently, making more money I ever dreamed of making selling books. And it just keeps growing. The book business keeps growing. It's a great business to be in right now in 2025, going into 2026 in 6 months. And when I first started, there was no YouTube content about it, and now there's YouTube content everywhere. There's Instagram content everywhere. You can learn this business by just being savvy with the internet, but being part of a group like Paper Gold, the group that I run, that will get you where you want to go faster than learning from your own mistakes and making time go longer.
There's so much knowledge in that group. It's hard to you're taking notes because there's so much valuable stuff in that group, Max.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex. It's an encyclopedia there for people who join, and I really don't want this to be about Paper Gold. It's just, I wish that I had a Paper Gold when I was learning the book business with eBay and Amazon, because it would have helped me. I made a lot of mistakes along the way, and I talk about it very freely with the Paper Golders, but I built the community of Paper Gold. I built the community because books changed my life. Books freed me from, I was a teacher at year 15 and 16, growing bored, hating the system, loving the kids actually, and loving coaching, but I did not like the system of teaching. And in year 15, I wanted a way out. By year 18, I was literally out with a pension. They pay me, the state of Florida now pays me half of my paycheck for not teaching every month. So good for them, and thank you, state of Florida. But I do Paper Gold because I want to give back to the book community and all of those people who want to free themselves out of the tiredness of their life. They have a dream. They have an urge to sell books. They love bookstores. That's what Paper Gold is all about. It's all about giving you the knowledge that I learned and all the other fellow Paper Golders have learned, and making your life change. We had a gentleman last week. He sold 2 books, both sold at different auction houses, and in one day he made $8,000.
Good
One
grief.
day, 2 books.
That's crazy.
If that isn't life changing, and Alex, I think he talked about it for like a good 45 minutes last week, right? 45 minutes he was talking about it.
Yeah, I came in a little late during that conversation, but what books were there that sold for that much?
Oh gosh, I'd have to go back and think about it. But they were both 1,800 books. One of them he bought on HiBid. The website HiBid. He bought one of those books on HiBid.
So you're buying from an auction, then you flip it back to an auction house.
He bought them on it. Yeah, he bought them on HiBid in a lot of books. He recognized the book that was on in one of the pictures, and when I tell you where he sold it, he sold one of those books at Sotheby's, one of the greatest auction houses you can sell anything in. He bought it off HiBid and sold it at Sotheby's, and he just has an amazing story to tell. And he does this part-time. This is his part-time living.
Wow.
What level of like a book is worth so much where you decide to take it where it's better to make that decision to take it to an auction house instead of putting it on eBay?
Sure. A book valued at several $1,000s, hard to find, big demand. Then you start, calling auction houses or emailing auction houses and finding out if they're interested.
Okay.
Well, it's been X amount of months, Max, since you were here. So before we start getting into the deep processes of how to grow your business, I want to ask you your personal evaluation of Alex and his performances as of late.
Oh, I love that. I was a coach. I'm not afraid about being on the spot at all. I
I'm gonna
lived
get bashed now, guys, for like 10 minutes straight. So
yeah,
let me have it.
I lived on the spot. No, I've been following Alex for several years now, and I'll admit it. I had to convince Alex to join Paper Gold. I had to wrestle with him a little bit, verbally, and give him my word of what I was doing and what I was trying to help him with. And eventually, he did join. Um, but I can tell you this, I tell people almost every Zoom show we do on Thursday nights to make sure they're looking at Alex's Instagram, because he posts daily his wins, or his solds anyways. And I want to believe his business is probably up 50 to 70% of what it was last year.
Yeah.
And the book business is only getting better. So I don't know what his annual goal was for 2025. I know we talked a little bit about it last week. He didn't have that number, but whatever that number is in his brain, I do know he's going to be doubling that number in 2026. And depending on district and or whatnot, he may go 75% higher than whatever his numbers are.
Yeah, when you asked me that question, I just said to pay my bills. And as long as I have that money and it keeps coming year after year, that's been my only goal. But I do have a number, because I want to bring my wife home from working.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a number that I need to hit before we make that jump.
Right. And I imagine Alex and his wife working together as a team in the very near future. And that's just going to be a powerhouse couple of reselling. And, I know Alex likes to sell things other than toys sometimes. I mean, other than books sometimes. He likes the toys. He likes the Funkos, and he likes the weird, odd stuff like we all do. But I think Alex would safely say, as he's grown into more of a bookseller, he's made more money.
Max, I just recently last week deleted everything that's not a book from my store. So it's 100% books. The rest of it, I'm going to do district and whatnot shows to get rid of all of it. And then I know you keep pushing me whatnot. I'm building shows for whatnot because I want them to be categorized. Like I'm doing a whole first edition show of novels, the first all signed books. And
I love that idea.
Moving forward.
Well, Alex's phone call to me earlier was that it took him 2 years to get here, but he finally got himself some business cards.
Well, we don't want to go there, because that's actually step one of Paper Golders, is make a business card.
Well, that's business 101.
Yeah, though let's be completely transparent here. I think that was Alex's way of not really wanting to be all in mentally on this, and he felt safer not having the business card. And then when I called his ass out on it, and he did it, now I know he understands why I called him out on it.
I just think, when you start your own business, no matter if you're pressure washing driveways or mowing yards or whatever, first step is getting the business card.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a good tool that can be used. But anyway, all right.
I gotta fight the system, man. I gotta go back to my roots of punk rock. I gotta resist a little bit.
Except if you get back from access at a thrift store and an estate sale, then you don't want to be so punk.
I'm distilling these books, guys. I'm sorry. It's just a punk rock in me.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and share this, and I don't think Alex will mind. And if he does, too bad. I'm concerned, Max. He had called me a couple of weeks ago, and he said, I just bought this estate buyout, and there's books in the attic, and there's books in 4 rooms, and it's going to take a U-Haul truck. And, I was like, dude, where are you going to put all that stuff at? And he goes, well, I've got stacks sitting in my living room and down the hallways. And I'm like, there's got to come to a point. Okay, look, It's fine to mass up inventory. If you don't want to spend the money right now to get a storage unit to store it in,
Right.
That's fine. But there's a point where you reach, I would think you reach critical mass of what you can attain, and then you got to start moving it.
Right. But what happens is, as a book buyer or a bookseller, when someone's about to offer you free books, and you all you do is you just start counting the money in your head before you have any real idea of how much it's really going to make. You get excited about it. And Alex and I spoke and we videoed 3 or 4 times on that room and those rooms. And we went back and forth for over the course of a week or two. I told him what I liked about it. I told him what I didn't like about that deal. And then I said, maybe you need to just cherry pick it.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of law books there that had a great look to it, but storing them would be a nightmare.
Yeah. I'm glad I made that decision, because then the last pickup I did last week, I wouldn't have had space, and I would be stuck with those law books that were going to take maybe a year, 2 years to find a home for.
Right. So this is what happened, Ben, is he called me a week later and said, now I'm at a different house looking at some books. And we talked about a strategy to get these books. And about a week later, he got those books, which was a better collection than the first one. And he's going to make 5 times the money on a smaller collection than that larger collection. But he was a little patient. He made the right move, and his gut instinct was a 100% correct on that.
Yeah. Doing these big bulk buys, though, really opened my mind, and just to know where I could take the business if I want to go there. Like, I could have employees, if I keep these connections coming, I could have vans and people go and do all the hard work for me. Right. If I want to pursue that in the future, and that's where I want to take my business. And that's really what I want to talk about in today's episode, is just being that solo reseller to really making a business. As business people, we should be working on how we can work ourselves out of our business, right? Not be a slave to our business.
Except I don't mind working hard. I mean, I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I call it my sandbox.
You get to do the parts that you enjoy now, though, right?
Yeah,
and you have employees doing the listing and maybe some of the stuff we don't enjoy doing.
Yeah, great point. I don't do any shipping anymore. I have someone who does all my shipping. I don't do any of my listing, except if it's a very specialized book. Well, I do the listing for it. So I have 2 vital employees who do the legwork that takes the most time, number one, and takes me away from sourcing. And sourcing, as we all know, is the most fun. And then part 3 of that for me is running Paper Gold. Paper Gold does take up a lot of time for me, and I'm always trying to help people do what they need to do in their businesses all across the world.
Yeah. I think you need to experiment in this business to see what you like, though, because now I've been at home for 2 months straight, and it might not be for me buying in bulk. Because I feel I get a little, I'll be honest, I get a little depressed sitting at home by myself. And maybe I need to go back to the bins just because it's, it's more entertaining.
But
I like fighting over books. I like a little side of violence with my reselling, as I always say.
You can still buy in bulk and still go to the bins in the morning.
Yeah. I should be home researching and listing all the books I have.
Well, I've been after you. I've been after you for a little while to get an employee, to get in a lister, and I know you have your daughter helping you now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you want the rewards that you dream of, if you want those numbers that you dream of, you're gonna have to risk something to earn it. And if you are the same seller you were last year, the same seller you were the year before, then you have something wrong about growth that you're not facing. And it has to be a little uncomfortable to grow.
All right. Let's kind of zero in on a couple things on this. We're about 20 minutes in, and I want to get to some meat from you. Most of the audience watching are a mix of part-time resellers, full-time resellers, mainly eBay, to my knowledge, or whatever. Everything's sellers. You talk about some practical steps of how a part-time person can take what they're currently doing, what steps they need to take next in order to move it up to the next level, because everybody wants to grow when they have a business, obviously. So Take us from step one, from a part-time seller who has a full-time job that's doing this on the side, that has aspirations. Man, I'd really love to do this full-time, and go from there.
Yeah. I mean, the old adage is true. The more you list, the more you're going to sell, except we have to sort of highlight that and have a footnote at the bottom of the page. You have to list good stuff, which means you have to source good stuff. And in my world and Alex's world, I mean books, okay? You just can't go to the Goodwill bins. You just can't go to a garage sale and buy a box of books and then just list everything. You do have to have time comping things out. You do have to know what's good. And the problem of growth is just a numbers game. If Alex sells 100 books in 7 days, Sunday to Sunday, he sells 100 books, and he lists 105 books.
Right, grow.
His inventory has only grown 5 books. So the more you sell, you have to double and triple what you're listing because of how much you're selling. So the more if you sell 30 books a day and you only list 30 books a day, your inventory is stagnant. So you have to know your truest and purest numbers, which is your inventory. In Paper Gold, we always talk about inventory control. How many did you sell that week and how many did you list? How many did you sell over the month? How many did you list? So then what you're asking is, how do you grow? You have to understand how inventory works. And as you become a better reseller, no matter what it is, clothes, toys, Funko Pops, silverware, whatever it is, you have to list 2-3x of what you sell. And that's how your business actually grows. And people don't make that connection for a year or two. They just keep listing. They're so caught up in the whirlpool of listing. I listed 10 things today. I listed 10 things today. I listed 10 things today. Well, if they're selling 10 things, their inventory is never growing.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't list 10 things today. I haven't even started listing yet.
Your inventory is going down.
But what if I just list
I was in the pool.
one? You were in the pool?
Yeah, it's lazy river. It's cool.
There you go.
And also, in Paper Gold, some of my members do this, but I don't do this. I don't talk about 10 listings a day. I talk about value. How much money are you putting in? So instead of saying I'm going to list 10 pieces of clothes today, I want to know how much value you're putting in your store. You could list 10 pieces of clothes. Each one is $20. You've put $200 into your inventory. In Paper Gold, we talk about numbers of financial value. So I like my Paper Golders, I like them to comp out 20, 30, 40 books ahead of time. Have the prices on a little note ahead of time, right? On the book. And so what is your daily number? How much money of inventory do you want to put into your store? $300, $500, $1,000. Let's just say it's $500. Well, then you pick off those books from the comp stack. You pick out $500 worth of books. And there's your $500 worth of value.
Or items.
No, we don't like items. On value.
Value.
No, I mean, it doesn't, you're speaking books, but.
Oh, yeah, yes, items, yeah, $500 of value. Yes, as long as everything's comped up. You don't want to comp one thing at a time. Jeans, list it. Comp another pair of jeans, list it. Do a stack of comping first. Have the comp numbers well ahead of your listing. That way you can just peel off there. And let's say one day you got to go to the dentist and then you got a cavity and you've had a bad day because you had needles in your gums and your mouth is numb and you're not going to be able to list 10 things that day, but your number's $500 a day. Pick out two $250 books. Get those 2 listings done. Your $500 value is there. Done.
This approach also helps you be a better picker because you don't want to sit. If your goal is 500 and you're listing $10 books all day or $10 items, it's going to take you forever to hit $500. So it does make you a better sourcer when you approach it this way too. I've noticed because I've switched. I used to do 10 a day, then I went to 20, and then I moved to 300. Now I'm at $500 of new inventory every day is what I like to shoot for.
Yeah. And in my own store is transparency. You know, my goal is just about over $1,000 a day on eBay. Sometimes I hit 700. That's, you know, that's my day. Sometimes I hit 1,400, but I'm listing. My goal number of listing every day is $2,000 a day. So 3 years ago, it was 500. As you grow, all of your numbers grow. And so that's why it's feasible and possible for anybody to do this. Anybody with consistency, which is the Achilles heel of all of us humans, is being consistent. As long as you stay consistent, and this is what we preach, you're going to hit your numbers 100%, whether it's jeans, Funko Pops, or books. But again, with the footnote at the bottom of the page, it has to be good sellable inventory.
Very good points. I want to interject something in on you, Max. You may or may not have heard of this, but there are now 2 AI listing programs that are in demo mode. If you're familiar with those, what are your thoughts and how you think that's going to incorporate well, especially with just listing books?
Right.
I'm nervous about that one.
You know, I'm going to get philosophical first, and then I'll bring it back. One, man, though he creates technology, cannot stop technology. Technology is always going to be higher, and we're going to be chasing it. So, you know, can you imagine your great grandfather, if you could bring him into 2025, a man who lived when he had to light a candle to see his way in the dark? Imagine bringing him into 2025. Now imagine you, Ben, 200 years from now. What is that world going to look like? So technology, it's always going to be surpassing us because we created to so-called make our life easier. As far as the book world, it's already changing it. People are making listings with artificial backgrounds. If you're selling mountain boots, now you can have mountains in the background of your boots. You can make it look like it's, you know, like it's a J. Crew ad, for crying out loud. But in the end, you still have to be able to sort. For me, you still have to be able to source the books, and I focus on non-barcode books. You know, I still sell barcode books every day, but I focus on sourcing non-barcode books. So you still have to have the developer's eye. You still have to be the book person, the bibliophile, the book collector to know what a good book is. And that technology can never be replaced, although at some time we're going to be able to hold our phone over a spine of a book and technology will tell us what it is with value. So in 10 years, maybe that's what happens. But right now, I still have to use the technology that God gave me, which are these two eyeballs.
Alex,
I hear what you're saying about showing a bookshelf and saying, hey, what is valuable here? But there's so much small details that inside of the book that make the value. It's not going to know if that's the first edition or it's one of the editions that has an error. Those are things that we're going to still have to do regardless.
Right. But Alex, right now there are Amazon sellers, Amazon/eBay sellers with 20,000 square foot warehouses. And they have not just one conveyor belt, they have multiple conveyor belts. And all they're doing is loading the book onto the conveyor belt. Barcode up if it has a barcode. If there's no barcode, a camera with a bird's eye view zooms down on the cover of that book and tells the computer what that book is. So we're already there. We're not there in the mainstream.
Is that Dave doing that?
It's all of the big sellers.
Really?
It's all big sellers. Yeah.
There's a point I wanted to make as far as Alex. What are the 2 AI programs that are now in beta mode?
Easy Lister and Better Lister.
Okay.
I might be totally butchering the names, but I think so.
One of the main things that a lot of resellers hate doing is sitting down and listing stuff. That's obvious. We all feel that way, unless you get some really killer items and then you can't wait to get them on. But that doesn't happen every day. So when we're talking about these 2 new programs that are kind of being put out there and beta tested, when you have the goal of listing value every day versus number of items, I mean, we're talking about a program where people are struggling to get 5 or 10 items listed a day, well, these programs will allow you to do 50 to 100
Mhm.
in a day. And I think that it's going to change the productivity of everybody who struggles with listing.
Depending on the product.
Yeah.
But let me say this, Ben, and this is where I make enemies. I don't have a lot of them, but here's where I make some in the book world. If you struggle at consistency, then guess what? You get to deal with the consequence of inconsistency. And if you want to rise to the top, you'll find a way to be consistent.
Yeah.
So that's the old coach in me, but that's how I feel. I said it earlier that consistency is the Achilles heel of the human condition. Of course, it's hard for us to be consistent 3 days in a row, 7 days in a row, 2 years in a row. But for those few that do that, they get the rewards of consistency, and the others get the consequences of inconsistency.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's basically 2 ways you can grow your business. And this is if you're an everything seller
Mhm.
or if you just sell books. You can be a single person like me who goes about their day, has a consistent routine, grinds it out every single day, takes a day or 2 off just so you don't have burnout. Or you can grow your business to where, well, let me say this. If you have a wife who supports you and helps you,
Mhm.
that is a double win because
Mhm.
you're going to gain a lot more ground.
Ben, didn't you put out an ad for a new wife and
Yes.
all it said is, can you list on eBay is the one
Right.
requirement that you have? I mean, I think
No
that's
fat
your only
chicks.
excuse for not
There's
listing
no
every
fat
day,
chicks
right?
in
Is you don't have the wife to do the listings for you yet.
You're not going to ruin my train of thought. So you have the single people who keep the nose to the grindstone, do everything themselves,
Mhm.
but they get to keep all the money.
Mhm.
2, they're married couples who work it together. They got to split the money.
Mhm.
3, you can go from, there's attractions of having a home-based business, Max. Obviously,
You're
just
telling me.
just the tax benefits alone
Sure.
is a tremendous draw to have a home-based business.
Mhm.
To me, if you want out of that rat race, whether you're a boss or a manager or you own a traditional brick and mortar and you have to manage employees and all that, some may not want to have to feel like they need to hire employees because, to me, you're shifting from a home-based to a traditional business model, and that in itself brings on more expenses, more liability, right?
But more expenses, oftentimes played right, also brings in more revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
There's
so
a
yeah.
fourth option though. Sorry, real quick. You can
Mhm.
get a wife that will work for books. All you got to do is buy her one fantasy book a month, and she'll list books for free.
Well,
Too.
I'm playing devil's advocate here. A guy that wants to start a home-based business is because he wants to get out of the 9 to 5 working for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That don't necessarily mean that he wants to get it so big that he's got to hire employees.
Right. But
You know what I mean?
yeah, let's make it a story though. Let's say that single person, male or female, is working by themselves, and no matter what platform they're choosing or multiple platforms, their daily gross number is $300 a day. And in their mind, maybe he or she, it's a game changer to make $500 a day. Okay. Maybe that extra $200 a day gross is a real life game changer for them. And they just can't get to that number because of a myriad of reasons. One, they can't list enough because of the inventory control we talked about. Maybe they're selling 10, 15 items a day. But if you're selling 15, you now have to list 30 in order to increase your inventory. So the right move in my mind, the way I think, is if you're trying to raise your revenue, you need to hire someone to list those items for you so you can get to that revenue. Now, if that person lists for you and they list $1,000 a day for you, they list $1,000 a day, and they work 4 hours at $15 an hour. You've paid them $60 and you're going to get $1,000 of listings for them. If people can't understand that math of growth, they should not be in this business.
Okay.
Again, I'll make some enemies.
Okay. I owned traditional businesses. When I had my restaurant, I had 27 staff members.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
I'm only wanting to address these questions for the people watching because some of them may be thinking it.
Sure.
So they're thinking the scenario that you just said. Hey, you're right. I could bring in a person, pay him $15 an hour, work 4 hours a day, add $1,000 of value to my store every day. From the legal standpoint of how you pay them, how you set that up, how that works, how that's going to change your tax reporting. Tell the people about addressing those little details, because they may be somebody on the fence, Max.
You hire them as a contract employee. You pay them out of your business checkbook, but they're a contract employee. They're going to pay the taxes on what they make, depending on what state you're in. But, you know, there's another thing here at work that's sort of subversive under what we're talking about. I'm giving you, this is how you do it, and you're giving me, well, this is the problem. There's always going to be a problem, Ben.
Yeah, I'm only presenting those thoughts to you because people watching might be thinking the same thing.
Right. And so, if to me, it's all about the amount of money you want to make. Okay. And if you want to make 300 a day, we can get you there. If you want to make 500 a day, we can get you there. But as you raise your number of how much you want to make per day, per week, per month, you are going to have to either work harder or allow someone else to work for you, and them working for you makes your dream come true. The same reason people pay rent and they don't have a mortgage, they're paying rent, and the person who has that mortgage, they're making that person's dream come true.
Very good.
I mean,
Jefferson.
Jefferson, you got all the book questions over there, right? He's got nothing.
How's it going? Yeah.
I think Jefferson just point paper going. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm signing up. I think. Yeah, I owned a business too. When I started out, I had a flower shop for 10 years and I had employees. I don't really want to go back to that. And I'm not ready to do it more than part-time.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it. I left my company in September last year. I'm back with them again now in January. Moved to Savannah for that job. But, when you start looking at insurance and you start looking at all the things that are going to cost you, I'm only 52.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to work till I'm 65 and then do this in retirement, right? So I don't have any real, but the problem is I've been doing it for 4 years, and every dollar I've made with this business, I've bought inventory. So I have 2 storage units of shit stuff that I probably shouldn't have. So I need to get on Shop Commons and sell lots of stuff and get rid of that, because that's costing me $400 a month, right, for the storage units. I think you're smart in what you did, cherry pick the good stuff. I need to get my ASP up there. I personally, when I was not working a real job, I was listing 100 items a day, and you can do that manually. You don't need a robot to do that if you're dedicated and you work 8 hours. So, but I don't know. Right now, my store's on vacation mode because I'm in the middle of trying to do some different things.
Right. So I'm just going to share with you a quick story that happened the other day on Whatnot, so you can understand the power of what's going on here. Myself and 2 other paper golders, Kent Genneman from Marshfield, Wisconsin, from Florida, and Jesse from Reliant Books in Kansas. We went on Whatnot and we did 9 hours of book selling. So Kent did a 1-hour show. When his 1-hour show was done, he took all of his people and rated Jesse's show. Jesse went 1 hour, and then he rated my show, and I went 1 hour. When I was done, I went right back to Kent, And we repeated that process 3 times with a 2-hour break in between each of our shows. So you can reload, you can print your stuff out, you can ship. Combined, the 3 of us combined, we did just around $5,000 in books.
Wow.
In books. And this was purely an experiment. We didn't think too long and hard about what could go wrong. We said, what could go right? Let's see. Let's get on the ship and let's see if the world is flat. Let's go to the end of the ocean. The 3 of us just didn't think too much about it. We just experimented. Now, for all transparency reasons, and people can look it up if they don't believe me, I did $1,928 in my 3 hours. You tell me who else is making that kind of money selling mother trucking books?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's impressive.
And that was on Whatnot on a Sunday afternoon. And so Jefferson, the stuff you have in your storage units, just start selling it. What are we waiting for?
I'm onboarded for Whatnot. I did one show like 3 years ago, and then
you want a pat on the back? You want a kick in the ass? I mean, let's go.
I need a kick in the ass is what I need. Yeah.
Call me tomorrow. All
right, brother.
Alex will tell you. I'm tough love in the group. I'm not. I don't coddle. I'm tough love. I want you to get what you say you want, and then I drive you there.
Nice. All right. Paper gold. I'll look it up.
I'm waiting for my call, Max, for an hour of you just yelling at me.
I know. It's coming. It's coming. You're on the list. I did Rich Cowboy the other day. Today I did Karuna out of California. You know Karuna. And so every day I do one call, and I give a paper golder 1 hour of time about everything we're talking about now. How do I help them build their business?
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. I love what you said, thinking about not what could go wrong, but what could go right. Right.
Yeah.
That is the way you need to approach any business, really. You need to push all the negative stuff out of your head.
Yeah.
You're never going to know what goes right if you don't put the effort into.
Yeah. And I've never really talked about this, and I'll do it here tonight. I'm really a product. I'm clearly a product of my parents. My father, who grew up in Dorchester, Massachusetts, in government housing, in his high school yearbook, his quote was "to be rich." 3 words: to be rich. And this young man grew up in government housing, and in 1965 he enlisted into the Vietnam War, and he did 2 tours of duty from 65, 66, came back in 67. By 73, he had moved his family, me included, in tow, into South Florida. And he wanted to open up an air conditioning and heating company in South Florida. And one of his aunts, rest in peace, one of his aunts bought him an answering machine. And we're all older gentlemen. We know how big those answer machines were back then. And he set up the answer machine. He put an ad in the local paper. And God is my witness, 5, 6 years later, this man, my hero, had 40 trucks on the road. That's awesome. But I watched what hard work was. I watched what pushing yourself did. I watched my father wake up at 5 a.m. every day, and the first thing he did was buy 4 boxes of donuts for his employees so they would have a donut when they went to work. And I watched him build a business from 0 to 40 trucks on the road. And he and my mother, who ran the business together, they gave up themselves to make that 18-year-old's dream of to be rich to become a reality. And so I'm literally a product of them, of watching what hard work does. And Alex will tell you this, I don't stop. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I'm ready to go. And I try along the way to help everybody I can along the way, because I am successful, because my parents were successful, and I want to be able to give that to other people. And that's why I charge $20 a month for paper gold. Believe me, I charge 20 because if I don't charge anything, I'll be giving up all of my time for free. But I charge 20 to make sure you're invested in it. And for $20 a month, Alex will tell you that they get $1,000 of value a month.
But if you go back and watch the last episode with Max, I was on Paper Gold, and then I left for a while, and then he said, "I'll pay for you to come back." I'm still waiting for that refund because I haven't got paid.
Reimbursement.
Or Max, you could be a sponsor for our East Tennessee reseller meetup coming up September 26th to the
1
20th.
million%. I talked about sponsorship with you guys last time, and nobody ABC'd me. Nobody closed the deal. So God is my witness right now. You need a sponsor for that. You got Common Ground Finds. You got Paper Gold as a sponsor. It's said here in verbal.
All right, you just opened the door. I'm going to do this real quick.
Yeah, I was open door.
Ladies and gentlemen, the East Tennessee Reseller Meetup this September 26th through the 28th of this year in Greenville, Tennessee, and it's happening. It's going to be fantastic. We have got so many resellers coming from all over the country, and the response has just been magnanimous. And as you see here, the icons on your screen are a list of all the sponsors that we have. The bigger ones in the top 2 rows are called anchor sponsors. They have each donated $100 to the event budget, and you can read the names listed there. Down below, the smaller circles are individual sponsorships at $20. And if you decide, no matter which level you want to sponsor at, your logo will be featured here on this screen, talked about here on this podcast, as well as other podcasts around the reselling community. It'll be on all of our advertising, paper goods, different things, banners and whatnot that we're going to be having at the meetup itself. So make sure you come and join us. The event is absolutely free. You can go to the Resellers Locker Room podcast Facebook group page and find the registration link to get yourself registered to attend. Seating is becoming limited, so you want to be sure to get your names in there. Also, if you'd like to sponsor, the link is also located on the Facebook group page. Fill out the sponsorship form and you pay through Venmo. We would love to have anyone that would like to contribute, whether you can come or not come. Come out and enjoy this event this coming weekend. Not this coming weekend, but September. I wish it was this weekend. But anyway, that's what we got going.
He's still here after the $100.
All you got to do is send me an invoice, and I'm going to be the biggest sponsor. We're going to send you $300 for this.
Oh my gosh.
Max. We appreciate that, Max. And I will be the first sponsor of the Paper Gold meetup that I'm going to help you put together.
Thank you, and I appreciate
that. Locker Room will come in on that too, man.
If I have to help Alex close the deal, we'll close the deal right here.
There you go.
Is that in the works yet? That would be awesome to be able to get together with everyone.
All you got to do is send me an invoice, and we are good to go.
Cool. Thank you so much, man. That's very, very generous.
I want to give back to this community that has been so wonderful to me and to the Paper Gold community. It's just when you go all in on something and you have a vision and you love it, it's your sandbox. Your life becomes a vacation. You can still sweat, you can still work hard, but your life becomes a vacation. You wake up and the coffee tastes so much better.
That's a good analogy, actually. Yeah.
Are you ready to go on vacation, Ben?
I want to go to the beach.
Find a wife to help list.
Dude. You know how much? You know how easy my
AI girlfriend can list now, though.
Yes.
If I had a wife, you know how much easier my life would be if I had a wife that was supportive of everything that I do? It would be amazing, dude.
I agree.
It would be amazing.
You just need to find the right lady.
We're not turning this into Rocky Top's date night trivia or whatever.
Well, you said everybody that watches, they're either like the reseller, but there's the Rocky Top X. We know they're out there that are watching just to see you.
I don't know. But anyway, again, Max, that contribution is awesome, and we appreciate you very much, sir.
It is a privilege for me to give to that community and that event you're hosting. And I will make sure also that Alex is wearing some sort of Paper Gold shirt for a day or two.
Hey,
yes,
that's cool.
And we will be good to go. And Alex will even have a few ways to hand out some business cards that have the Paper Gold link to it. And and Alex is gonna help be the conduit to change some people's lives that don't know they're about to get their life changed through books.
Yeah. I wanted to also tell you, Max, that we're doing swag bags, and sponsors are sending us things to put into the bags. So all the attendees will get one, get a
Beautiful.
bag of goodies.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you'd want to send, we would love to throw it in the bags for everybody.
You got it. Well, Thomas and I, my partner, will take care of that with Alex.
Okay. Awesome.
Sweet.
Max, you need to come because they want me to do a Q&A about books, but you're more qualified than me.
Yeah.
Q&A about books, so maybe you should just show up.
How about that? How about you just get a plane ticket and just
next time?
Let's not rule it out. I'm not opposed to speaking about books. Alex will tell you that. I do it every day. Not opposed to it. So we can see where the schedule lines up.
Have you ever done anything like that, or done reseller meetups and done Q&As and stuff?
I mean, I did it 5-6 years ago. As I got busier, I've done less of it. I've been invited to a few places in the past couple of years, but just time didn't work out for one reason or another. And so, I'll get back into that. It's not something that I seek out to do. One thing I should say too, Alex, and you know this, is the Paper Gold group is only limited to 150 people. We cap it off at 150 because we're trying to keep the network tight and not just blow it up to 300, 400, 500 people that you don't even remember their name. I keep it at 150. So right now we're at about 138 or 139.
So still room, guys.
So as soon as we get a little bit more, that's it. And so we keep it a tight knit community. It isn't about me making money through this. It's about being able to know everybody's name, everybody's story, and know everybody's goals. When I know everybody's goals, that's how I'm able to help them.
I want to talk about this with you because we knew from your last episode you grew your book business mostly through eBay, correct?
Sure.
And now you've just, I don't know how recent it's been, 6, are you at a year, and doing live selling, and how you think that is changing?
I'm probably closer to 2 years now. And before we get to that, which we are going to, do you remember what happened the last time you interviewed me?
No.
A very special thing happened.
Oh, you accepted a good order?
A $1,000 offer for a set of books.
You got a $2,000 one this time?
No, I'm just saying we did I mean, I'm hoping that happens again today. So I've been very heavy in the whatnot. I'm going on probably 2 years. But this year, 2025, I am on pace to do $250,000. I'm at 115 right now. So I'm on pace for about $250,000 gross sales on whatnot. And I just find that platform to be utterly amazing. I know people have talked to me about District before, but whatnot and I are just comfortable together. And I'm doing, get ready, Jefferson, get ready, Ben. I'm doing 10 shows a week. I do a show every day of the week. Sometimes I do 2 shows in a day. And this is a little shocking too. Sometimes when I say it, I don't believe it. My sell-through rate of 10 shows a week is a 100%. Everything that I list sells. So Jefferson, those storage units you have, if you do things the right way, if you play in the right way, you'll take those 2 rents and you'll get them down to 1, then get them down to 0, and then you can cherry pick your way to your fortune. But you just got to jump on one of these platforms, and it doesn't matter which one. You just got to jump on one and start doing it. There are better ways to do it than some people, and you need to learn those hacks. But you can get through your death piles. If you're on whatnot, you should no longer have death piles because whatnot cures the ailment of death piles.
Nice. So you, the stuff that you sell on whatnot is stuff that you wouldn't sell on eBay, or you sell everything on whatnot?
I can go to an estate sale, a flea market, and I can just pull out good books. Okay.
Okay.
But I'm starting to feel like if if I'm going to put a book on eBay and I think it's going to sell for $35 to $50, but I might get 20 to 25 on Whatnot, I'll do less eBay and more Whatnot just because I'm going to show it. It's not going to cost me time for my lister, right?
You said
And as
no.
soon as I show it, because of my 100% sell-through rate, and I start everything at $1,
Wow.
I'm going to sell it. And again, just to remind everybody, 3 hours on Sunday, $1,928. And then someone's going to say, well, what happens if you sell something for $1? Well, I sold 4 books for $1 last Sunday, and I still made $1,928. So are we worrying about the crumb or are we worrying about the sandwich? You tell me which one you want to worry about. And then when you look in the mirror, you tell me which one you're worried about.
And Jefferson, you like sandwiches, right?
I love sandwiches. Hell yeah.
Honestly,
Go
Max,
with beer.
you here's the truth though. I wasn't a part of it, but there was a paper gold raid train. I was there from the morning. I watched it. That's all I did to learn, right? I comped everything, and there was multiple times because people think, oh, Whatnot, you're not going to get as much as eBay. To be completely honest, some of these books are going over eBay prices.
Yes, they are. The idea or the old adage of Whatnot is just for your junk to sell your duds, your books.
It's not like that anymore.
It's so untrue and so false that I'm going to battle it every time with someone if they bring it up. I mean, I have twice I've sold the Easton Press version of Hitler's Mein Kampf, the leather-bound version, which you can't sell on eBay. So I've had it twice. I've sold it twice, starting at $1.
Yeah, I bid on it twice.
And I sold one copy for $800, one book, and I sold the second copy for $925, and I started at $1. Is it scary to start at $1? Yes, but you get used to it, and the more you do it, the less you care about it.
Makes sense.
We are so enabled by our own created fears in the prison of our brain that it prevents us from being successful. And the hardest thing to do is to get to the top of the pyramid of success. And in order to do that, you have to climb through your fears.
Well said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ended on that. That was good. We done. we got nothing.
Hang on.
Pen drop on that one.
Pin drop. Marker drop.
I used to be able to source on Whatnot from your shows, Max. I've sold a book for $65. I probably paid less than $5. This was your first to maybe third show.
Yeah.
Well, I don't do that anymore because they're going for close. Not all of them go over eBay value, but they're close enough where I don't feel comfortable the wiggle room to resell it. But you still get great deals too.
And let me push this even further. I do a lot of consulting work for an organization down here called Faith Farm Ministries, which deals with men and women battling addiction, alcohol, and drugs. And I have built their media, their books on eBay, their books on Amazon and whatnot. And they just did a Christian literature show today without me. They don't need me to do that on Whatnot. And their show just brought about $500 in 90 minutes. And you know where that money goes? That money goes to the goodwill of men and women trying to battle their demons. So, the demons do cost a lot. But my point is that there's just so much out there, especially in the book world. The books are everywhere. You just have to know what to look for. And I am a firm believer in this, that if you've never sold books and you want to learn how to sell books, myself and the paper gold community can teach you, and it would be very quickly, and you'd be very excited about it.
Awesome.
For just $19 a month. I only charge $15, guys, so DM me. No, I'm joking.
All right, let me jump to this real quick, and then I'll come right back. We want to thank all of our paid members to the Locker Room, Wolfman Goodies on YouTube, Mike Camparelli of Metco Meetups, along with Mary McQueen, Trash to Cash Podcast, CJ Benz Finds, Vintage Sports Flips, Good Water Pickers, Rick Rotman, Reselling with Woody, Eagles and Beagles, and the world's favorite buttery biscuit butt. We want to thank each and every one of you paid subscribers here to the channel. And if you'd like to subscribe, we got 2 levels you can check out. Just hit the join link down below this video and you can see what level would suit you. You get all the videos ahead of time before it's released to public. So we invite you to join us. And when you become a Skybox member, you'll be invited to the after parties at the meetups where the locker room boys are. All right. Max, go ahead.
Max, most exciting book find of your life.
Wow. I really can't talk about it because I have an NDA on it, but I can talk about it vaguely. I can talk about it vaguely.
Have you talked about that? I think I know what you're talking about. Maybe I don't.
I mean, I'll talk. Well, I'll talk about it, 2 or 3 of them here real quick, but I'll talk about it. But I can talk about it vaguely. There was a sport complex about 20 miles north of me that was moving, and someone had the bright idea that they were going to throw out all the books and magazines and programs from their collection. I got it. Someone called me. I got the collection, and that sporting organization found out because I was selling the stuff on eBay. They called me up. They got my number. They asked me where I got it. I told them. They said that's fine. There was a mistake, but you got it, and we were fine with that. And that was a $45,000 deal. And I was still teaching at the time. And as a teacher, I was making $52,000 a year. So, when that happened, I started really thinking, maybe I need to get out of this business of teaching. A couple other great finds. I did find a first edition Alcoholics Anonymous book at a flea market for $1 being thrown away. The person was getting rid of all of their books from their storage locker. They had it in their trash bin. And I said, can I have this one? I knew what it was right away. And I'm going to make some enemies here. Someone's going to write on this chat, well, you should have offered more money. But I bought the book for $1 and sold it for $7,500. So these things happen, and I've been very blessed. I mean, I bought 14 pallets of books last year from an estate sale company. 14 pallets of books from the state of Arkansas, and they mailed me the pallets. And I have made well over $150,000 on that $1,800 purchase. And I'm still selling those books every day of my life. And 3 times I've sold books from that collection at Doyle's Auction House in New York. The books are out there. You just have to know how to hunt. You have to face the fears, and you have to get out of the comfortable zone you put yourself in and do things you may not want to do, which is go be an extrovert, go shake hands with strangers, make business cards, and become a businessman or a businesswoman. But the more you do, the more you get out there, all of those business cards become your soldiers, and people call you because of those business cards.
Yeah. I honestly just want to go yard selling, not to go buy anything because I don't need anything, just to hand out cards and make connections.
And that's great for flea markets too, though, Alex, if you have one near you, because those people who get storage units, they don't want to lug boxes of books in and out of their truck, in and out of their van. They want to do it one time. So if you give them your business card, they will call you ahead of time, say, I am bringing books to the flea market on Saturday. Please meet me here. Now, you already have leverage, Alex. You already know they don't want to put the boxes back in their truck.
Yeah.
Go get them, make your money, run your business, be financially free.
Yeah, Nashville flea market not very good, but we're gonna in Greensville. We're actually on the meetup. We're doing like three flea markets, right, Ben?
Yes.
So 3. So I could take cards there because I'm willing to drive 4 hours if I'm gonna pick up a truckload or 2 truckloads of books.
And it doesn't matter who gets your business card. I mean, I do so much business out of state. It's not even funny. I get boxes mailed to me every day from all across the country.
Yeah.
It's another level. It's another level, but we can get you there. We can get you there.
I think it's really endless where you want to take this business, and it's up to you and how much work you guys want to put into it. And Like I get this because I've been like this for a while where I got out of, I only want to work for myself so I don't have to deal with people. But if I really want to grow and hit the numbers, I'm going to have employees, and that's just the way it is, you know?
But Alex, can you ever envision making $1,000 a day gross?
Yes.
Then go for it. Then what's holding you back? Go do what you don't like to do to make what happen to happen. You know, this goes back to my coaching days. If you want something you've never had, you must do something you've never done.
Yeah.
And that really is the key to success.
Well, Ben, if you bring me and Jefferson donuts every day, we'll do 2 podcasts a week.
Yes.
Don't tease me like that now.
Shoot. All right, Max, man, thank you, brother. It's always a joy to have you here in the locker room. You've got a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience, and we appreciate all your knowledge and taking time to share it all to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
And go check out the Common Ground Finds and the Paper Gold podcast. You don't want to miss out on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's big money.
Yeah. And I'm easy to find. Anyone can find me. If you can't find me, contact Alex. Alex knows how to get me instantly. And I want to thank you, gentlemen, for letting me talk about this. You know, I love talking about this. I'll come on anytime you gentlemen want. And again, Alex, just send me an invoice for the sponsorship, and we are good to go on all of that. And just let's get things done. I'm all about getting things done.
There you go.
Mary, send an invoice.
All right. On behalf of Max and the rest of the locker room crew, this has been episode 89. We'll catch you on the flip side.